town, if you could call it that, named Brimstone, a small railway stop on the edge of the hottest deserts in the Southwest Territory. It didn't even show up on most maps. That is, until they found the Darkstone. Digging in the hills, an old prospector came across a strange nugget he had never seen before, a black rock. There was something special about that rock. It had a glow you could only see out of the corner of your eye, and was warm to the touch. It had properties folk said were magic, and of course, that caused a stir. Within days they found more of it buried in the earth, and stories started to spread, and that opened the floodgates. People came from all over to try and make their fortune, and Brimstone bloomed overnight. They dug mines in every scrap of land they could get a hold of. Round the clock they worked, digging deeper and deeper, bringing up cartloads full of the rock. What they didn't know, what nobody knew, was that as they collected more and more of that black rock all in one place, it started to react, until it exploded. In a flash, the town was consumed, and a shockwave rolled out across the desert, burning the trees and tainting the land. Reality itself was being ripped apart, and the people along with it. Dark portals to other worlds started tearing open across the countryside, pulling people in and unleashing all manner of demons and creatures into our world. Wherever there was Darkstone, these gateways would appear, some only flickering open for an instant, others open and stayed that way. Since then, demonic creatures of all kind have been pouring out of the mines, and anyone sane steers clear of the whole area, but plenty of folks find they can't help but be drawn in. Whether it's to try and help somehow, or just to find a fortune of their own, it don't matter. The damn fools. No one ever escapes the Shadows of Brimstone.
Well, gentlemen, I'm about ready to call. How about you? I'm gonna call your bluff. You ain't got nothing. I don't know about that, Henry. I think you might be making a mistake. Shut your mouth. I don't make mistakes.
You young'uns sitting there gambling your lives away, drinking and playing cards, you're just wasting it. We ain't got much time left.
What are you talking about, sir?
I was working down on the south end of the county, down in the mines they call the Tombs. Some rich dandy from back east had bought 'em. He sent me and some of the boys down there, paying well to dig up the Darkstone. And boy, was there a lot of Darkstone down there. But we dug deep, and we dug greedily. Something down there we disturbed. I'm telling you, the dead started walking, climbing up out of the ground, started spilling out of the mine, all down the south end of the county. They're still down there now, tearing livestock to pieces, eating folk. It's damn awful, so it is. I'm telling you, those ghouls, they're gonna spread all across the county if someone don't put a stop to it. And then that'll be it. That'll be the end of all of us.
Well, sir, that sounds bloody awful, but I'm not quite sure what you want me to do about it.
Go on, sonny. You waste your life away. Waste it away on cards and money and women. But who's gonna save you when the dead come walking? It'll be the end of us all.
Yes, I'm sure it will. Anyway, cheerio. Well then, there's $600 in the pot, and we're both ready to show our cards, eh? Oh, aye there, Mr. English. I'm quite ready, and if you'd care to take a look at this full house I've got in my hand, I think I'll be taking that $600. A full house, you say? If you'd care to take a look at this royal flush in my hand, sir, I think you will find it will be me taking the $600. I don't believe that. That's the second royal flush you've had tonight. I'm calling you a cheat, mister. You get outside with a pistol in your hand right now, or my boys will gun you down where you sit.
Beaumont Sinclair takes a deep breath as the sun dips past the horizon, casting the dusty streets of Wilshin's Lodge into twilight. The town is silent, but for the clink of metal as he loads bullets into his revolver and slips the pistol into its holster. 10 paces from him stands Henry Macmillan, a sneer on his face and a pistol on his hip. "No one cheats me at cards, Sinclair. You're a dead man." Only if your trigger work is less sloppy than your poker skills, sir. Sloppy? The only thing that's sloppy around here is your guts slopping in the dirt. Ha! Jolly good, that's the spirit. I hope your aim is as sharp as your wit. Now, let's get this done with. The town clock tower gives a small mechanical click. Beaumont's fingers twitch. As the clock tower sounds its ominous bong, Beaumont whips his pistol from its holster and fires. A bullet smashes through Henry Macmillan's skull and blows his brains out of the back of his head, killing him in a single shot. Henry Macmillan lays dead in the street, a spreading pool of crimson blood seeping from the ruins of his skull. Down the street, the rest of his gang look on in a mix of shock and anger. You no good cheating dog, you'll pay for what you done to Henry. They pull their pistols and begin to advance on the gambler with the smoking gun. Knowing the duel was never going to be the end of this, Beaumont makes a break for it toward the edge of town. The bandits run down the street, and the first to open fire unloads a hail of lead at Beaumont. The bullets pepper his coat with holes, and he feels a sharp sting as the shots graze him. The others open fire, and despite their terrible aim, the weight of the fire overwhelms Beaumont as dozens of little cuts open up all across his body. He hurls himself flat, playing dead and hoping the shooting stops. As the Macmillan gang close in, he springs his trap, jumping back to his feet. A miraculous revival, so the bandits think. Beaumont flees down the street, the twilight shining through the dozens of holes in his coat like stars in the night. He spins on one heel and fires in an effort to ward off his blind-sided pursuers. The shot is critical, leaving another bandit face down in the dust and buying Beaumont the precious time he needs. The bandits, shocked at the death of another of their gang, give chase, whooping and hollering, "You get back here, you lily-livered varmint!" The remaining bandits open fire at the fleeing gambler. Their terrible aim and Beaumont's defensive reflexes leave him practically unscathed by the encounter. With lead flying through the air, Beaumont waits behind an overturned trough for the gang to reload, and then makes a break for the edge of town. He stumbles in the worn dirt road as he flees and falls short of reaching the edge of town. He rolls over in the dust and lets off a flurry of shots, the bullet punching straight through the heart of one of the bandits. The man drops to the ground, wheezing out his last breath as his shirt soaks red. The last of the bandits continue their chase, enraged that this one low-down, quick-fingered Englishman has laid low 3 of their number. They open fire again, but it has become apparent that these men should not have drank so much at the card table, as their shots fly all around Beaumont, and with a little effort he ducks and weaves from their path. Not wasting any time, Beaumont flees Wilson's lodge, while the pursuing bandits fire their revolvers wildly at the escaping gambler. "You better watch your back, Beaumont Sinclair. You ain't seen the last of us, you no-good lying son of a dog." Travel Journal of Beaumont Sinclair, May 2nd, 1876. Got myself into a spot of bother today down in Wilson's lodge. Seems the local hardmen didn't take kindly to my card skills, but I still managed to swindle $600 out of them. I've decided to head north. Fort Lopez is only a few days' travel from here, and if those ne'er-do-wells give chase, as I suspect they might, the soldiers at the fort should be a good deterrent. As I travelled north along the road, I was lucky enough to find a lottery ticket dropped by some unfortunate traveller, and wouldn't you know it, you're from the town of Flam's Folly. I'll stop there on the way up to Lopez. Who knows, I might be a winner. Not all good news though. When I set up camp, I found some of my provisions had spoiled. May 3rd, 1876. Fine weather today as I continued my journey. I headed through a nearby forest today, hoping to throw off those bandits. I'm sure they're following me. It also gave me the chance to do a spot of hunting, and I caught myself a fine hare. Good job too, as I thought I may have to go hungry today, after those provisions turned on me. May 4th, 1876. Lady Luck, she does smile on me today. I stopped off at Flam's Folly and found the lottery ticket to be a big winner. $800, thank you very much, sir. I invested in a new horse with my winnings, and a nice hotel room and a meal for the night. I'll be setting off at the crack of dawn for Fort Lopez. May 5th, 1876. As I was leaving Flam's Folly this morning, I saw something strange. A preacher in a tattered black cassock walking into the town barefoot, his hair shock white. He smiled at me with the coldest grin I've ever seen. Sent a frightful shiver down my spine, it did. Still, there's many a strange sight to be seen in Brimstone County as of late. I rode Lightning, my new horse, up the trail and reached Fort Lopez a little before sundown. Good thing, too, as I spied some of those bandits nearby, but when they saw the 13th Cavalry marching about, they quickly turned tail. I'm going to get some supper at the campsite before turning in for the night, and then decide my next move. Beaumont arrives at Fort Lopez, and staying at the local campsite, he sees a strange foreign man sat by the campfire. He wears long robes and has 2 swords buckled to his belt. The man has a weather-beaten face that suggests he is well-travelled, and something about him tells Beaumont he is a very capable fighter. Lady Luck has smiled on Beaumont once again, and the dapper Englishman feels it only right to smile back. "Good evening, sir," Beaumont says, sitting down beside the foreign man. "Konbanwa," the stranger replies, drinking from a mug. Do you speak English?" "Hi, I speak English." "Might I ask, are you from the Orient, good sir? You look to be from that way out." "Not anymore," the stranger replies mysteriously. "So you have moved to this great new world of America then?" "Me too. I left the green pastures of England for this place." "Very good. Now please, leave me be," says the stranger. "Now, hold on a moment, good sir. I'm merely engaging in polite conversation. It's considered quite rude to turn down another's good graces where I'm from." "I am not here to make friends. I am here on a mission." "A mission, eh? Sounds awfully exciting. What might your mission be?" "I am looking for someone. A dangerous man I have unfinished business with." "Well, nobody knows Brimstone County like me, sir. It sounds like you could use a guide," Beaumont says, hoping the stranger does not see through the half-truth. Beaumont knows the county well enough, so long as he has his map, but he can't pass upon this opportunity to gain a travelling bodyguard if all it costs him is a little guide work across the countryside. "You are a guide?" the stranger asks. "You bet I am, sir. Good as any Injun." "Perhaps you can help me. My name is Torinobu Katsuhiro, and I am here in search of the man my people call the Akuma no Jin." "Beaumont Sinclair, pleasure to meet you, and if you stick with me, we will find this Akluna Jim in no time." "First, Beaumont-san, if you wish to be my Sentojin, I will have you listen to my story." In the late evening, Lady Noriko sits in one of the many rooms of Castle Yamada, inking a fresh piece of parchment with elegant calligraphy. Torinobu Katsuhiro stands dutifully as the bodyguard to the daimyo's daughter. As Noriko completes the lettering, there is an earth-shaking bang, and a rush of heat sweeps into the room, followed by roaring flames. In moments, the entire room is ablaze. "Noriko-sama, 大丈夫ですか?" "はい、大丈夫です." "それは何ですか?" "知らない." "Ikanaka. Lady Noriko Yamada leads the way, carrying a lantern. She moves to the eastern doorway of the burning room. She looks through and sees a long passage bending around the corner. The heat of the flames begin to spread through the room. Torinobu heads towards another door, knowing the room will soon be on fire. He plans to get Lady Noriko to safety as soon as possible. He can feel the darkness of the night has only just begun, as he steels himself to whatever comes next. Noriko moves cautiously into the corner passage. Remaining in sight of her loyal bodyguard, she scavenges the area and finds the mangled corpse of an Ashigaru, blown apart by the explosion, holding a flintlock pistol. She pries it from the man's fingers and takes it with her, thinking Torinobu may find it useful. Torinobu moves to the doorway of the burning room. The exit leads into a courtyard by the castle wall. The flames from the explosion spread here, and the intense heat sends thick smoke billowing into the sky. Torinobu, very familiar with the estate grounds, knows this is the right track towards the castle gates. However, as the thick smoke parts, Torinobu sees the imposing form of a hulking demon, an Oni, with deep red skin and burning yellow eyes, carrying a brutal-looking kanabo. Noriko rushes back through the burning room.
and hurls an elemental blast at the Oni. The magical energies explode against the giant Oni, but the demonic beast laughs at the feeble magic. In retaliation, the Oni charges forward and strikes Noriko with its kanabo. The force of the impact sends her flying backwards into a wall. She lands in a heap, surrounded by flames. She coughs up blood and fears her ribs are broken. Horrified by the attack on his ward, Torinobu becomes enraged and darts around the back of the Oni. He unleashes his blade and makes a vicious swipe at the demon. But the blade bounces off the Oni's thick skin. Noriko, despite her injuries, manages to escape the flames unharmed and moves towards the demon. She summons her elemental powers again, and this time, with a vengeful cry of anger, unleashes it at the demon. This time the energies blister and burn the Oni's skin, inflicting horrific injuries on it. The Oni lashes out at Torinobu, but the brave samurai is quick with his blade and manages to turn the kanabo aside with expert skill. He leaps at the demon, bringing his blade down on the side of its head and leaving a deep cut down its cheek. The terrifying Oni roars in murderous rage as Noriko unleashes another elemental blast, fueled with all her anger and terror. It strikes the demon full in the face, and the blistering heat peels its flesh before burning it into a pile of ash. The two take a moment to catch their breath, and Noriko hands the pistol to Torinobu. With the flames spreading, Noriko makes a run for the eastern gate of the castle wall. Looking through the opening, she sees the corridor connects with the corner passage she discovered earlier. Torinobu moves around the flames to the western gate and finds a dojo where the relentless flames continue to burn. Exploring the dojo, Torinobu comes across a macabre sight of hanging bodies. The ceiling is covered in hanging bodies that sway in the drafty air and drip, drip, drip. A barbaric act by the monsters invading this fortress. Noriko waits for Torinobu to return, gritting her teeth and preparing herself for what comes next. Torinobu moves further into the dojo, scavenging for anything of use, but he finds nothing and decides to turn back. The slaughter in this place making him think he will not find a safe exit this way. Noriko moves further into the castle and reaches an open doorway. She fears she may be getting too far from Torinobu, but with the spreading flames and encroaching dark forces, she knows they need to find a way out of here fast. Through the doorway, she finds the castle kitchens engulfed in flames. A small kitchen area resides here in one corner. Though abandoned, several pots still sit over the fire, bubbling and boiling. The smell of fetid meat hangs in the air. Noriko peers into one of the pots and stirs it with a long-handled ladle, churning its contents to the surface. To her horror, the bloated visage of a human face rises to the surface, peering up at her from the stew. Noriko screams in horror, and Torinobu hears her. He grits his teeth. Enraged at leaving the daimyo's daughter alone, he prepares to rush to her aid. Despite the horrific pots of flesh, Noriko sees the way out of the castle up ahead. At the castle entrance stands a mysterious figure, a Western man in a black cassock with wild shock-white hair and eyes gleaming in the firelight. Magical energies swirl around him. She recognizes him as one of the foreign preachers from a nearby monastery. A dark preacher, she thinks to herself. 3 Tengu accompany him. Corrupted and broken to his will, they do his bidding with their razor-sharp swords. The feeling of a growing dread is palpable in the air as the evil-looking group approach the castle. The Tengu take flight on their feathered ebony wings and fly into the castle kitchen, heading straight for Noriko. Noriko steps back from the Tengu assault and conjures an elemental blast. She hits one of the feathered hellions and vaporizes it mid-flight. Noriko then begins hearing voices from the darkness, cries of pain and horror from the tormented souls of those who have died this night, she suspects. The dark preacher's laughter echoes through the castle as he advances towards the kitchen. Torinobu seeing the attack on Lady Noriko, turns and rushes back through the dojo towards her. The Tengu assault Noriko, wings fluttering and swords slashing, their swords lashing at her over and over. Despite her grit and determination, Lady Noriko can't stand up to the ruthless onslaught and is knocked to the ground. All the while, the heretic preacher advances through the castle kitchen, his laughter echoing off the walls. Torinobu continues back through the dojo to aid Noriko, but the growing fires that rage through the castle slow him down. The Tengu leave Noriko. Sensing new prey, they swoop through the castle and attack Torinobu in the courtyard. However, they underestimate their new foe as the samurai's blade turns their strikes aside. Only a few glancing hits get through and deliver minor cuts across Torinobu's flesh. Torinobu looks up to see the heretic preacher emerge from the kitchen and stand menacingly over Lady Noriko. In an onslaught of fury, he lashes out in a flurry of enraged blows. One of the Tengu is caught by his blade and sliced in half. The wicked creature falls to the ground with a splat. Torinobu taps into his samurai training and executes a lunging thrust, slipping past the other Tengu and raking it down the side with his katana. The remaining Tengu continue to attack Torinobu, and his sword skill saves him again and again as he turns aside almost every strike, but he starts to feel the weight of the myriad of small cuts they inflict as blood seeps through the cracks in his armor. Suddenly, the sound of clashing steel is interrupted by the boom of gunpowder as the preacher fires a shotgun in Torinobu's direction. Fortunately, the buckshot misses, peppering the castle wall nearby. Torinobu reacts with a burst of strength, lashing out at the Tengu with an expert slice. He cuts it down in a shower of feathers and blood. The preacher aims at Torinobu, preparing for another shot, but the samurai deftly avoids the devastating blast. He rushes forward and barrels past the man in black, more concerned with Noriko. He pulls her to her feet and helps her to recover. Checking her injuries, he is thankful they are not fatal, but her arm has been crushed badly in the melee and the bone is undoubtedly broken. Noriko dashes toward the kitchen and summons an elemental blast. She hurls it at the heretic preacher, but the energy seems to disperse around him and misses. Torinobu rushes to her side. The demonic man ignores Torinobu, his sights set on killing the daimyo's daughter. He unleashes a brutal flurry of attacks against her, but Noriko is ready for him, twisting and weaving around the blows. He doesn't manage to land a single hit on her. Noriko flees into the burning kitchen, disappearing into the thick smoke. Distracted by the samurai, the preacher launches an attack on him, swinging wildly with inhuman strength, but Torinobu's defensive skills and armor turn aside every hit, leaving him unharmed. Realizing he cannot defeat this being of pure evil, Torinobu breaks away and follows Noriko into the thick smoke. He searches for her, but amidst the flames and fumes he can't find her, and in the confusion moves past her. Noriko, lost amidst the flames, fails to find the exit. She takes a moment to collect herself, gritting her teeth and preparing for the inevitable. The heretic preacher enters the burning kitchen and with supernatural senses finds Lady Noriko. He attacks her with a series of vicious, demonic-empowered blows, and Lady Noriko's preparation proves futile as she collapses in a heap. Torinobu, also lost in the flames, continues to search for Noriko, but is stopped dead in his tracks when he hears her pained scream. He steels himself, ready to die doing his sworn duty to protect her. Noriko struggles back to her feet, knowing this is her last chance to escape. She manages to break free from the clutches of the heretic preacher and flees toward the castle exit, using all of her strength and grit to get as far away from him as possible. The preacher gives chase, but sees Torinobu standing in the way. He opens fire with the shotgun, and the blast smashes into Torinobu's chestplate. The armor buckles, but does its job and keeps him alive. The injured samurai rushes to Lady Noriko's side, the gateway to the castle coming into sight as they emerge from the acrid smoke. Noriko foolishly makes one last effort to put an end to this evil preacher, unleashing an elemental blast against him. The energy is absorbed by some unseen force, completely missing its target. The heretic preacher emerges from the scorching flames and continues his attack on the faithful bodyguard. but his attacks prove futile against Torinobu's defensive technique. Torinobu retaliates, slashing at the preacher. But he misses as the man in black dances around him with inhuman speed. Noriko wastes no more time and runs for her life. She reaches the castle steps and turns to see Torinobu preparing to face off against the heretic preacher.
Noriko-sama! Hashiru!
Torinobu turns to face his foe, but the preacher passes right through him as though he were made of mist. As Lady Noriko flees the castle, there is a deafening bang of a shotgun. She tumbles forward and crashes down the castle steps in a heap, her back a ruined calligraphy print of scarlet as the blood slowly pools around her. The man in black laughs with sinister glee. Torinobu screams in rage and rushes at the preacher, but in a flash of unholy light, he disappears, leaving Torinobu alone where he stood.
I ran to Noriko-sama's side, but there was nothing I could do. With the rest of her strength, she reached up to her hair and pulled away her favorite ribbon. She pressed it into my hand and tried to say something, but her strength left her, and then I was truly alone. I took her body to Daimyo Yamada, and after her funeral, he summoned me to his chamber. He told me what I already knew. My failure had dishonored my clan. He gave me a choice: commit seppuku immediately as penance, or be banished from my home until I bring Noriko-sama's killer to justice. I chose banishment, and in his grace, Yamada-sama offered me this sword to aid me in my journey. We call it the Foreign Blade, a fitting sword for a rory wretch such as me. We named the man of evil Akuma Nojin and searched all of Japan for him. I swore I would find him, no matter what, and have spent the last 10 years searching for him. And so I have traveled here, following rumors of Akuma Nojin. They say he is here, in your county of Brimstone, and I will not submit until he is dead and Noriko-sama's soul can rest in peace. I think I've seen this chap, you know. He passed me by as I was leaving Flam's Folly only a day ago. I can show you the way, Mr. Torinobu. In fact, I insist on remaining with you to aid in your quest. This villainous dog must be brought to justice for the honor of your Lady Noriko. Thank you, Beaumont-san. It would be an honor to have a noble man such as yourself act as Sentojin. We must go at once. If we are lucky, we can catch him and strike him down before he spreads any more of his corruption.
We will leave at dawn, Torinobu. The roads around here are dangerous at night, and the unholy powers taking root in Brimstone are getting worse every day. I fear to catch this Akuma Nojin, we are going to need more than just fortune and fury.